Record and broadcast.
Now we're really soft live, not fake soft live.
I prefer to think of it as flaccid live.
Yeah.
Not soft live.
We were flaccid earlier.
Yeah, it's a mushy live.
A little soggy.
Well, you're going to have to take the lead on a lot of this because I just don't know. Way too much shit to do.
I need a beer.
Way too much. There's cider. There's
cider is not a beer.
It's a hop cider.
Oh, it's a hop cider.
Yeah.
That's not even going to make a comment.
Is there any more of that? Is that
Yeah,
true?
there's
Love?
more of this.
I've got more.
Do you? Because I really
Very
like
little.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
And I've got.
You said you have more of those.
Do we have two quads on the table?
We have a chocolate quad.
Yeah, mine's only 18%. So, you know.
18%.
Oh, this is 11. So it's a small quad.
I brewed a 9% quad the other day.
I got a 13% wheat wine here. We can try too.
Oh, I love your wheat wine. I love that.
Which one did you have?
I think I had the tart cherry one.
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
the one I brought.
Yeah, I love that one.
Thanks.
Excuse me.
Just
So
let
we're-
us know when we need to go.
Let us know.
Let it snow.
I don't know why I'm
Let it go.
doing that.
I'm ready when you are. Ooh, that's loud.
Welcome back to Come and Brew It Radio, coming to you from Texas Brewing Inc. in Haltom City, Texas. You can find us on the web at txbrewing.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and share with all your friends.
Tonight is Raspberry Pi Night, and it's Mikey's birthday, so tonight we're going to go with a topic of his choice, and we'll begin a discussion of automation for brewing and fermentation using a programmable controller that you can buy or build yourself. We'll start with the brewing automation, the hot side control, by calling up Corey Simonson from brewtronics.com. Corey is the brains behind the Hosehead Brewery controller, a Raspberry Pi-based controller that comes in several different versions, and it runs using either the Strange Brew Elsinore or the Craft Beer Pi applications. Then we'll delve into the cold side of things by discussing Raspberry Pi-based fermentation control with a friend of the show and NHC gold medalist Mike Treadway. You may remember Mike from our discussion about making small changes to produce better beers way back in episode 25. Well, he recently gave a great presentation for the Cap and Hair Homebrew Club based on his Raspberry Pi controller build, and tonight he's here to share it with you so you can add in something new to keep making better beer. Before we get started, please be sure to check out our Patreon account to make sure and help support the show. Every little bit counts, and if you visit patreon.com/comeandbrewitradio, we have a variety of options for you to help keep the show going, get involved, and improve it. I'm Brandon.
I'm Stubby.
I'm Mikey B.
And I'm Mike Treadway.
And I forgot my line, I guess. I was supposed to do that? Was I supposed to do
I
that,
don't know.
Brandon?
I don't know.
we
I
never
Nobody
agreed
talked
on
about
it.
that. So
No, we never talked
We
about
never
it.
officially agreed.
I said it last week, I think, but I really screwed it up. You did a much better job.
It's all right.
So
Yeah,
anyway, so we have a really interesting show tonight. Mikey is a older, grumpier effer today. It says today,
Yes,
yeah.
apparently.
So
That's the
Greg
recent
is
that's the reason
happening.
happening. So, what did you do, Mikey, for your birthday besides, not help us at the shop?
I did my 5th annual birthday brew day, and it's the 3rd year in a row to do a lambic. So,
And I never tasted any of the other birthday lambics. Did they all suck or?
they're still aging.
Okay, there you go.
I'm going to be blending them next year. So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we have to be friends with you for another
At least
year to
one
get to
more
taste
year.
it. Man.
More like a year. More like a year and a half. You know.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah.
Fun. So
So we kind of lately we've done some back to basics stuff. We're going to do the exact opposite of that tonight. And we're going to get about as nerdy as you can possibly get. We're going to talk about some
Absolutely.
hardware and software that can help you automate the hot side, your brewing side, and then also get into some of the automation on the fermentation side. I was telling Mike before we started the show that when he did this presentation for Cap and Hair, I went into it thinking, all right, this will be interesting, but I'm really not interested in doing any of this. And then I walked away from the meeting thinking, I have to do that. It's cost. It's really low cost relatively,
Right.
and you'll see some of the graphs and stuff that he's come up with for the temperature fluctuations, that kind of thing, that I just think are really interesting. And
did you do that in the closet too? I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there tonight. I'm sorry.
Well, and the reason the way I found the Brewtronics controller, the Hosehead controller, was I've been for the last 2 years I've been trying to come up with a miniature electric brewery control system based on the electric brewery controller, something I could take with me to brew events, to competitions. And after Mike gave his talk on the Raspberry Pi, I thought, well, there's got to be a way you can do this to control the hot side, because it's just, a device turning on and off an element, basically. And that led me to
and that's
Corey.
one of the things that I think is really interesting too. With this, with the advent of the new Grainfather application, my God, it's loud in here.
Yeah, it
Beer
is.
bottles and
echoey. Yeah.
but is the advent of this new the Grainfather controller, and this may be a little early from what we're talking about, but I was kind of curious, is maybe that thing is so cheap and inexpensive, if there's a way you may be able to adapt it to actually a bigger system rather than just because you think about it, it's only $150. I don't know. I'm not advocating that you try it or do it or whatever, just from liability standpoint, but it makes you think, But I think, though, that the new one, however, may actually variable the voltage rather than just turning it off and on. Right. I don't know that for a fact, but
well, I think that was the idea on
probably
it,
the wattage,
but,
not
or
the
wattage. Yeah, it was able
right.
to differentiate the two wattages.
It just doesn't turn it on and off
right.
like a controller does. So I wonder if that's the case, it would be tough for you to adapt it to another different system. But just something food for thought.
It's worth an experiment, I guess,
especially for $150.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't know. They may have those, they may have the logarithm method in there. So maybe just programmed just for that, it wouldn't work in other situations. So I don't know. Anyway, it was just something I was thinking about.
All right, so let's. I think we've got Corey waiting for us to give him a call, right?
Yeah.
Call him up, get him on here. So basically, what this is a controller that you can buy and use it to control both valves and or electric elements, or like a solenoid to turn your propane on and off, depending on how you want to do it for your system. And so that's what we're going to talk to him about. It's called the Hosehead Brewery Controller. If you want to get on the website and look while we're talking, it's Brewtronics. That's BREWTRONIX.com. So you can kind of follow along with what we're doing here.
Hello.
Corey.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. It's Mikey from Texas Brewing Inc. I got Stubby, our shop owner. I got Brandon, and we've got Mike Treadway, who did a presentation at our club on Raspberry Pi firm control. So we got a little group to talk to you tonight.
Cool.
So
thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on.
So, Mikey, how long have you been using his controller?
Let's see. I think I got it a little over a year and a half ago. So,
and there's several different versions. Which one are you using?
Right, I'm using his electric gas hybrid.
Okay, Corey, why don't you tell us a little bit about the different versions of your controller that you've got available and what it is they do?
Okay, sure. The most popular one I sell is it's a 5BC. It's a 50 amp version. Basically, it'll run two 5,500 watt elements at the same time on a 50 amp breaker. That's, like I said, the most popular version I have. based on sales. Also have what they call a Hosehead Uno, which is a single brew in the bag controller for single element. The HGE, which is the hybrid gas electric, which will run one element and two burner controls at the same time. And let's see, I got an X4BL, which is a one barrel system, which will run 4 elements if you have enough power to run it. And
so tell us about
other
what's
things
the one
in the
that
works.
has the you said there was one that had multiple gas burners and
Yeah, that's
and
the hybrid gas
yeah,
electric.
well, that
Yeah.
sounds pretty cool.
That's one I have.
What is that? What is that? You know, in which case are you actually using two gas burners and an electric element at the same time? What's this? What's the situation that?
Or the setup? What kind of brewery?
Yeah, what
would
kind
you
of
use
brewery?
that
That
on?
sounds really interesting.
Hello, you
I'm
still?
sorry, were you asking me? Or
Yeah, we're asking you for it.
Oh, okay. So, basically, it was kind of built on a request from a customer because he wanted to actually boil and stuff with gas, but he wanted to run an electric element for his Herms coil at the same time. I guess the design for that one was based on his request.
So he
Okay.
could use the
something that
burner
I-
to bring the water up to temperature, and then the element just to hold it there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
just the way he wanted to run his particular brewery.
So your setup doesn't just run the mash control; it does everything. It does turning on valves for the boil. It turns on the gas for the hot liquor tank. It does all of that. Is that right?
Yeah, you can control various different things with it based on how you want to set it up. The new craft beer pie software actually has some Wi-Fi controls. You can control different Wi-Fi based power outlets and stuff to control
Okay.
pumps and relays and things like that as well. I guess there's a ton of different ways you can set it up to do different things.
That's cool.
So what's your background as far as what do you do for your day job, and then how did you end up doing this?
Oh, okay, sure. Basically, we started off doing the brewery controllers. Me and my neighbor were homebrewing for quite a long time, mostly just kits and stuff, and we wanted to graduate to a Herm system. So I thought, I want to build a brewery in my house. And we got to looking around, and of course we read everything we could possibly read on building a controller, and we decided we were going to build a controller based on my electric brewery design, and just came across this program called Strange Brew Elsinore at one day, and it was pretty early on when the Raspberry Pi just came out. So I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to try to build a controller around this Raspberry Pi / Strange Brew Elsinore software, and that's how this whole thing came about originally. So the
Nice.
original controller was built on that. I built it for myself just to run my own home brewery, and had a few people that were interested in it and thought, well, maybe this could be a viable commercial product and help people out at the same time. For people that didn't really want to go out and build their own system. At the same time that we originally launched it, about in the middle of our launch, they replaced the Raspberry Pi Model A and came out with the Raspberry Pi Model B about the midweek that we were going to launch the product, which changed the whole design of the Raspberry Pi, which basically changed the whole design of the controller at the same time. So, which was a good thing, but basically had to go start from scratch and redesign the whole unit from there.
So how long from when you first decided I'm going to try and build this to when you had a production model, how long did that take you?
Oh, it was probably close to 9 months for the original.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
No.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
But
So are you manufacturing these things yourself, like in your garage, or do you have a company building them for you now? Or
I do all design and manufacturing myself. I happen to have several CNC machines and vinyl cutters and plotters and everything in my house.
Okay.
I used to own a sign company, so I had a lot of background in CNC machining.
What's CNC?
Actually, that's what I do for my day job is CNC programming.
Automated
So-
machinery for cutting out things.
Okay.
So, because that's one of the things that struck me about it when I've seen Mikey's and I've seen pictures of it and that kind of thing that's on your website. Our monitor isn't on here, but I'm assuming that we're showing pictures of it right now on Facebook Live. It's a really professional looking piece of machinery. It just does not look like something that somebody just threw together. It's obvious that this thing is made really well. And so I can't believe that you're doing that all yourself. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, basically from start to finish, I take a blank case and CNC machine the case, all the end panels, everything in it, tap all the holes and all the parts inside of it, just completely hand assembled. All the decals are printed on a laser printer and cut with a vinyl cutter. It's all hand assembled. It takes about 6 to 6.5 hours per controller to build it from scratch, but I do it pretty much all by myself.
Question for us that are actually, I guess you would say, computer illiterate. How difficult is it to take one of your systems and actually make it into
get it up and running?
Yeah, get it up and running.
Yeah, I try to make it as plug and play as possible. Pretty much, you're ready to brew as soon as you take it out of the box.
We're getting some feedback.
I just created a whole new web series of videos and uploaded them to YouTube. I think I sent you guys a link to that. I think there's about 12 different videos that'll help people out. Getting started with the Raspberry Pi, kind of, what it looks like on the desktop, what the software looks like and entails. Working on some other videos as far as, how to take it out of the box and set it up. But it's pretty much ready to brew right out of the package.
Can somebody who is not real computer literate, like I know how to use a computer pretty well, but I certainly don't know any software programming or coding or anything like that. Could someone like me order this and get it going pretty easily? Just watching your videos?
Yeah, there's no coding whatsoever involved in it. Basically, it's like taking a computer out of the package and plugging it into a monitor and turning it on and opening up a web browser, and there's your information. It's all ready to go from there.
Okay, that's great.
It's even pretty easy once. I've had a couple mistakes, and he's walked me through resetting up the whole thing, and that was pretty easy. Not knowing coding or programming at all, he just sent me some files, and I just re-uploaded files onto the device, so it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
So how would it make you feel to know that all this? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, some of the new videos I created and just uploaded a couple days ago actually walks you through the whole process of installing the software and or fixing the software as well if you have an error.
What other equipment do you need to go with it? Do you need like a dedicated laptop that you leave hooked up to this thing, or do you just have it on your computer and you can plug it in anytime you want and use it?
Sure, there's several different ways to control it, actually. You can control it directly just by having a keyboard and mouse, USB keyboard and mouse plugged in. You can plug in an HDMI TV or monitor directly into the unit, control it directly off of that.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm doing it.
You can also hook it to your Wi-Fi internet or hook it to a cabled connection in your home or garage or whatever, and you can actually access it by its IP address through the software. So you could pull out your smartphone or tablet, iPad, something like that, type in its IP address and control the controller from pretty much any other device hooked to your same network. Be it a laptop, a tablet, PC, Mac, it doesn't really matter as long as it has a web browser.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about price-wise for these units? Obviously, there's going to be a range depending on what all you want to control. What's it going to cost somebody to get into something like this?
Sure. The most popular model, the 5BC, is $475 plus shipping. So you typically, $17.95, I think, is the shipping price on it. So it's under $500 basically to turnkey.
And then you would just need heating elements and whatever other. You're just selling
Probably
the
temperature
actual
probes,
controller, right?
Now he gives you
Yeah,
five.
it's the
Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
Oh, go ahead. The controller, it's basically plug and play with Blickman boil coils. They will plug right into the back of the unit, or you can use wavy elements like the Camco 5500 watts. Create your own cables and use the L630 connectors to plug into the back of the unit.
Yeah, and the temp probes that he sends are pre-coded, so they're one-wire probes, and you just plug them in, and it knows the red one is this, the blue one is this, the yellow one is this.
Okay.
So you just plug them in, and all right, cool. That one goes in the hot liquor tank. That one goes in the mash tun. It's pretty idiot-proof for me.
Now, what do you need on let's say, for example, if you're running 250 amp elements, what does the unit actually plug into? Does it plug into like like you have to have a 220 50 amp breaker, or how does that work?
Yeah. It's the connector that's on the 5BC is L1450 connector, which is the standard 50 amp range plug most people have in their house if they have a 50 amp plug. It's pretty most common in the United States as far as a 50 amp plug goes. You can pretty much cut the cable off and hook it to any 50 amp type of plug that would work in the United States as well. It's not dedicated to that particular plug, but that's the one that comes with it.
And he's told me before. You've told me that if you email and say, hey, I need this type of whip or cord on it, he'll customize it as needed. So that's pretty neat too.
Have you done anything with bigger size? I mean, like if you would like to do 20 or 30 gallons, or are you pretty much kind of sticking with just two?
Well, you said the one unit was for a 1-barrel system, right?
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. The 1-barrel system that I have for sale on the webpage is the biggest one that I offered to the general public as just a basic unit. I have built other units up to 3-barrel and 3.5-barrel systems, all electric, running on the Raspberry Pi. I sent you a text file, or not a text file, but a zip file with a bunch of pictures in it. In that picture, there's a controller that's all stainless steel. It has a built-in touchscreen interface and some other fancy stuff on it. It says Monarch Brewing Company. Built that for them down in Illinois. That's a 3.5-barrel all-electric system running off the Pi.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Are you aware that all of your hard work and technology is being used to brew a beer with Skittles in it?
That's awesome, actually. I've got some friends that brew a beer with Skittles in it, and they have a T-shirt that has a kitty that's shitting rainbows, and it says Skittified or something like that.
That's great.
Mikey's signature beer is Skittle Brow, and he's actually done pretty well with it, won some awards.
Yeah.
He's in the running in the Nationals right now with a beer. So
Really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Skittle Brow.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You guys out in Austin?
we're actually
Where
in
you're
Dallas,
located
Fort
in
Worth.
Texas?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the best part of Texas.
for sure.
Okay. My sister's moving to Austin next week, so I got to take a trip down there and visit you guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Lots of good beer. Lots of real good beer in
Yeah,
Austin.
you come to Dallas, Fort Worth. We'll show you around.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So what kind of things do you have in mind for the future? Are there other builds that you're thinking of turning into production units, or is it a lot of customization?
Yeah, I actually have 3 different units right now that I haven't released yet. One of them is like a brew in the bag type controller that actually has fermentation, hot and cold fermentation controls built into it as well. So you can control a heating element for fermenting and the refrigerator as well as a brew in the bag system. Still it's all finished. I just haven't actually uploaded it or put it for sale yet. I have a lot of people from Europe that want to brew with their special 15 amp service, so I have another unit that will take two of their regular 15 amp services and combine them into one power controller. Something special for them, I guess. Looking at building a waterproof flip top type controller with a built-in monitor. That's in the prototyping stage.
That's cool.
Just a little bit of everything.
Cool.
Awesome. So are you going to be at the National Homebrewers Conference or no?
I'd love to go. Don't think my work schedule is going to let me go, though.
Right. I
At this
hear you.
point.
Sounds like you've got your hands full between a regular job and doing all of that yourself. I imagine that keeps you pretty busy.
Yeah, my regular job, they just pretty much let me float, so that's pretty cool. I haven't really worked there much since the beginning of the year. But after working 80 hours to 100 hours a week for the last 3 years doing this, it's kind of nice to only work 60 hours a week, I guess.
Nice.
It's like you're on vacation.
Right, yeah.
So tell everybody,
I do go on vacation, I think.
tell everybody where they can find your products and how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff.
Any social media stuff you want people to follow you along?
Sure. Brewtronics.com, BREWTRONIX.com/Hosehead. That's the ordering page that pretty much has all the information and different versions of controllers I have. Also links to the YouTube videos and stuff on that page. Or you can just go to Brewtronics.com and scroll down and click here to find me.
And when someone orders something from you, is it built to order? Is there a lead time to it, or do you have these things sitting ready to ship?
Yeah, I usually have parts on hand in cases pre-made to build 20 or 30 units at a time. I do, however, make them one at a time per order. It's just people customize them. You have to program the sensors and that kind of stuff to the unit. So pretty much it's a 10-day lead time from start to finish, from order to shipping.
Wow, that's an incredibly fast turnaround for what you're doing. I'm
Custom build, yeah.
amazed at how quickly you get stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier when you're just by yourself and you don't have all the politics to deal with the company, I guess.
Well, that's a good point.
Well, Corey, do you have any social media pages that you want to plug?
I guess I really don't right at the moment. I haven't advertised a whole lot. I was always kind of scared to, actually, because I didn't know what would happen if I had like 100 orders in 1 week. I was like, what would I do then? But
you might have 100 orders next week after everybody listens to the podcast.
Yeah. So our 10-day lead time might turn into 3 or 4 weeks if this goes to major production. But
You do have quite a few videos on YouTube, though, if somebody wants to go on there and see exactly how these things work and what the different setups are and all that?
I sure do, yep. Most of them are just new last week. I got a fancy little desktop recording system and started plugging away and making videos on requests of what people were asking me for questions. But, if you got a question or you want something, you need to know something, shoot me an email and I'll probably create a video and upload it for you just to answer your question. But it's also handy if you're building your own controller and kind of figuring out how it all works. So if you want to go that route as well. So.
Cool.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and talking with us. Mikey has been singing the praises of your product and your service and your company as a whole for quite a while. So it's great to have you on. I think Mike said it best one time at a meeting that this isn't rocket science unless you want it to be, and a lot of people do want it to be. That's the fun part for them. So there's a lot of people out there looking to add this kind of thing to their system. So make rockets, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Make it as easy and hard as possible at the same time.
Right. All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on with us. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Corey.
right, thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Later.
All right, so that was very informative. I guess there's a lot of information out there. If you wanted to kind of do this yourself, you probably could. But you know, if you're like me and your time is limited, it might be a great idea to look into something like this, like the Brewtronics.
Yeah, I mean,
and check into it.
Or if you're like me and you're kind of dumb and you don't trust yourself to be able to do it and not burn your house down.
That was exactly what led me to it was Treadway doing his presentation. And I thought, well, there's got to be a Raspberry Pi system that'll do this. And I looked at his system and I thought, well, $500, shipped to me is still significantly less than half the price of the electric brewery controller that a friend of ours has.
All right, so let me ask you this, Mikey. Since you are using this system, Mikey has a really nice Herm system. What are you using the controller to do?
I use the controller. I'm working on a new element right now, but I use it just for the hot liquor tank. I'm just maintaining temps in the hot liquor tank.
Okay, but it's upgradable to doing a lot more, right?
Right.
I mean, you can maybe control the pump or.
Well, both pumps plug into it, and it's got a click box on the in the software, so I can turn the pumps on and off with the software.
Okay.
Apparently, there's some additional plugins in that software. You could even have a pH meter running. I've seen some of the software for it. I haven't looked at the craft beer pie. One of the customers in the store has one, and he's running that.
Craft beer pie. What is
craft
that?
beer pie is the other software that
Besides the Strange Brew.
Strange Brew. Yeah, there's two softwares that this thing runs.
Okay.
And then I haven't built the gas valve yet, but it'll run a gas valve, and I thought, well, okay, it'd be neat to have a gas valve on the brew kettle, but I mean, it's either on and off. I turn the brew kettle on, I turn the brew kettle off. So I'm going to run it just one gas valve for taking it to say Martin.
So are
House
you just using a 110 element then?
I have a 220, and then my 110 burned out. Okay. I was using a 110. I use propane to heat.
You're just using it basically to maintain.
Just maintain it. Yeah. Okay. For right now, that was the idea at first. I'll probably end up with.
But that's an expensive way to do that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, it sounds like one little thing, but that's really difficult to get your temperature in your hot liquor tank right with propane.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for the amount of money that he spent for that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it could do a lot more than
right. Yeah.
Right. It was. I mean, my whole brew system, and I think everybody here can tell you the same thing. It's a really fancy way of doing something very, very simple. That's what we all do. So I keep adding a new little toy, a new little way to complicate a simple process.
You know, the funny thing about homebrewing, and this is one of the things that I found really interesting when I started the homebrew store is, I would say that majority or a lot of the people that actually are hardcore homebrewers are all engineers.
Right.
There are a lot of engineers, yeah.
And I think part of the reason being is I think a lot of these people actually enjoy the actual building of all the equipment to make the beer, sometimes even more than actually brewing the beer.
Yeah.
Although I will add that when we're brewing and I think about what would happen if my house burned down, I'm buying all that shit.
Right.
I've already built it. All the little pieces over the past 2 or 3 years that you've built over time and added this and added that. I think I love building stuff, but if I lost it in one shot, I think I'd just be buying it.
Right.
Well, you can already say that you built it, so
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's so you know, I think a lot of that. I think part of a lot of the fascination with homebrewing is actually, you know, kind of experimenting with building your system and stuff of that nature. And I've done it, been there, done all of the different crazy, weird things. I haven't gone as far as you know, the Raspberry Pi and stuff like that, but that's kind of why I just resort to just using a grain father now. Because it's so easy, you know. I know your brewing partner's got one now. He's using it quite often, right?
The brew pie?
No, the grain father, right?
That would be the first I'd heard of it if he had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he may have. I don't know. He hasn't mentioned it to me. I know he does. Brewing a bag on his stove. He does little batches like that, and he's got a heating element, and I think he even has a controller for it, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
yeah, he may have done that.
Okay.
On this show, all roads lead back to the Grainfather. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Somehow
I
it
may
ends
have let
up,
the cat out of a bag or something.
It
I don't
ends
know.
up meaning
Sorry, Sean.
You should, Hey, Mike. This is the wheat wine, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's good.
Well, thanks. This was a brew in a bag.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
That one.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It was that Martin House competition, and we instead of bringing all of our stuff, we thought it'd be fun this year to have a really, really big tent and one kettle and one little propane burner in the middle of the tent.
Wow.
It's really good. I'm always amazed with this beer, the attenuation that you get out of it. With that much wheat and that kind of ABV, it's tough to get that to dry out the way you do. It's
that's a 140 and 148, 147 mash temp with a bunch of dextrose to get that to dry out.
Oh yeah.
What
Nice.
the hell does this stand for? So I'm drinking the St. Arnold's Raspberry AF.
Think about it.
Raspberry Pie Night.
Is that
raspberry
as F?
as F. Yes,
Yes.
God.
it's good, man.
It's
It is
really
pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try some of this wheat wine. So
I need to try some of that.
what did you on this wheat wine? What did you use? I mean, did you just use mainly wheat or?
There's
trying
some
to
wine
remember-
too.
Yeah, there actually
just threw
is.
some wine in there.
Wine.
I can't recall the recipe. It's probably at least 50% wheat.
Okay.
I know that we used a couple of cans of cherry.
Wow, that's really good.
Thanks.
It's interesting.
It's great.
Well, I'm gonna reveal some secrets here. So yeah, we used a couple of pounds of the cherry puree,
Do you want some?
and in order to get when we finally tasted the end result, it just didn't have enough cherry in it.
Oh, I get a ton of
This has
Well,
a ton of cherry.
I'm not finished yet. So so we didn't have enough cherry in it, and we wanted to add the oak and Chardonnay and the cherry to get a little bit more of that flavor out of there. And so you guys talked about the last episode that I was here. We were talking about doctoring beer. Well,
Right.
we were doctoring the sucker out of this. I mean, we bought some cherry extract.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
and it took just a
little bit.
we had it balanced pretty good between cherry, Chardonnay. We just threw oak cubes in and tasted that until they was good and pulled the oak cubes out. But this was trying to balance the cherry and the Chardonnay, and Chardonnay just didn't taste like anything.
Wow.
So that was kind of a bummer. I wouldn't use Chardonnay again, but
So you use Chardonnay must?
no, we just bought Chardonnay wine and
Just poured wine in there. Really? Oh, okay. I was joking when I said there was wine.
That is really
no,
good.
No, we put wine in it, and then when we actually scaled it up once we figured out how much of each, and we scaled it up. Oh, I forgot. Also added lactose. Not lactose. Sorry, that's ridiculous. We added
dextrose.
no, not dextrose.
Sucrose.
What do you use to lower your pH in your mash? Lactic acid.
Lactic
okay, so
acid,
yeah,
okay.
also because I wanted more tartness.
Tartness,
out of it.
yeah.
So we were dosing it with lactic to get that just a little bit more tartness out of it. So we really crafted the hell out of this thing, and then when
That tastes like cherry pie.
Well, when we scaled
yeah.
it up, the cherry aroma just came out really, really strong, and it's toned down a little bit over time because this is.
It's
over
got
a
the
year
same
old.
aroma to me as the Sam Adams cherry wheat.
Yeah,
I think
very
it's
similar.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always
Cherry
liked
is
that
such a
beer.
hard thing to use too,
It
without
is.
getting it to taste like NyQuil.
Mhm.
You know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. My sister made one time when I first opened the store. She said, "I'm gonna make cherry wine," and man, they went and they pitted all these damn cherries and made. And then they made wine out of it. They followed some recipe, man, and that stuff tastes like rocket fuel.
Yeah,
Wow.
cherry
And-
is very hard to use,
And it didn't taste
correctly.
anything
Yeah.
like cherry.
If we were to do
And,
this again, we probably would. Like this was for competition, so we were. This is the beer we had to submit, so we were doctoring it up. But I think that to do this again, I would use a lot more cherry extract, or not extract, a lot more cherry, puree to get more cherry out of
Right.
it because it just, it fermented out. We tried to add it at the end so that hopefully the yeast would not consume as much of it, so
Right.
it would leave a little bit more residual cherry. But it is what it is.
What
so.
yeast did you use for this? It'd have to be a beast.
We
this-
used Martin House's American ale yeast.
Oh, okay,
Their
yeah,
American yeast.
that's a pretty aggressive yeast. I've used that before, and it does the job for sure.
Yeah, this thing was a very strange. It's one of the strangest fermentations I've ever done.
You won
went
with
strong.
this, right?
Yeah, it went strong, and it just kept bubbling for 3 weeks.
Was this
4
this
weeks,
is the
it
one
kept
you
going.
you won from last year, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it just kept going. I've never seen a fermentation go that steady for that long. But that, like, you know, the bubbles out of the airlock or what have you, I'd go check on it, and you'd watch it, and then, you know, about 20 seconds it would bubble, and it just kept doing that. I was like, is this thing ever going to stop? It just kept going.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's
Well,
good.
it's kind of funny because we actually did a collaboration kind of thing with Cody where we did Chardonnay must with Saison
Saison, yeah.
yeast, and we did oak, and what else did we do in that?
How was it?
Yeah.
And we did all of us did a different version of it, and it really turned out really good. I think for the most part. The only problem is it's really expensive to put Chardonnay.
That's not the
must.
only. That's not the only
Yeah.
problem. The other problem is that 1 5-gallon batch of beer was responsible for 15 severe headaches at my house. I mean, you get into that at all, and it's over pretty quick. It was like 13%.
Yeah, yeah. And
I imagine this is probably along the same lines.
Yeah, well, when I was doing we've done a wheat wine before, and you know it was like 123 original gravity to finish at about 130, and so when we tasted the brewery's wheat wine, their white chocolate or white rain, or not white rain, but their white chocolate wheat wine, it was really dry, and so I emailed him before this competition, asked him for the recipe, and of course he didn't get back with me until after the competition had already taken place, but he was telling us that. He dries it out big time. So when we did this beer, we took notes from what he did with his wheat wine, added lots of dextrose, low mash temps, and really dry it out to give you more room for some of that extra stuff you want to do,
Yeah.
with like oak and cherry and whatever wine.
Well, and having so much wheat too, it's a lot of protein content. It can really turn into like a thick syrupy
Yeah.
mouthfeel if you don't get it dry out some.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I immediately thought about. This was it's just really drinkable.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Especially for what. Yeah, you could get yourself in trouble quick with this.
Yeah.
In fact, we still might. Mm-hmm. We seeing as how we have 2 quads sitting on the table still, and
Oh
I
my
don't
goodness.
know.
Yeah,
Might
I don't
be
know.
one of those nights.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be.
I don't know. Last week was one of those nights for me.
Mikey's got a mischievous look in his eye tonight too.
Yeah.
I don't know
I think
why.
he's looking for trouble.
Yeah, don't be calling out other podcasts.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
So when we come back from our break, we're going to talk to Mike a little more about his Raspberry Pi setup with his his refrigerator. You're doing on the cold side is what you're using it for,
chest
correct?
freezer, yeah. Mhm.
All right, awesome.
And I
man.
promise you that this is really interesting stuff. You don't want to
Yeah, it
miss
really
this.
is. It's
I
really
was
fantastic.
Really fascinated with it when Mike first did it, so I'm looking forward to talking about it again.
Yeah, we're also going to have some slides and stuff too, so you will actually be able to. If you're watching live, you'll be able to see some of the stuff that he's actually his little diagrams and some of the experimentation he's done with the different your different logarithms or whatever however you
I
get
got
them.
lots of data.
You got lots of data.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great experiment, and I think a lot of you guys out there will really appreciate all the different or all the work you went to on that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, even the stuff that I can show, you don't have to buy the setup that I have to take something away from what we'll talk about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in about 15-20 minutes. And what's that? Oh, yeah.
Don't
the
forget
thing.
to, while we're at the break, if you want to hop on your computer, go to patreon.com/Come and Brew It Radio and check out the options we've got there for you to help support us. It's really, you don't have to commit to a lot. Every little bit helps us.
Right.
This costs Stubby a lot of money to do this, and we
Right.
could really use your support to keep it going.
And just remember this month, if you do $10 or more, you pledge 10 or more dollars per month. We are going to give you nice Dickies embroidered shirts. You guys that have pledged in the past are going to get them too. So
heck of a
just
deal.
a heck of a deal. They're really nice shirts. You're really going to like them. We just hadn't finished getting them made yet, but they're coming soon, and then we'll be able to show you what they look like. But be sure to pledge this month.
All right.
But anyway,
and we
we're
will
gonna-
be back.
Yeah.
Bye.
Mac.